Thousands of people go missing every year, but as sad as that is, most cases have perfectly logical explanations, like foul play, accidents, or people just starting over and realizing they'll never pay back their payday loans. But then there are those disappearances that just don't make a lick of sense. The kind where the pieces to the puzzle only seem to form a giant middle finger aimed straight at your own sense of skepticism, like in these following cases. Ben Padilla, an entire Boeing 727. In 2003, an American pilot and aircraft mechanic, Ben Padilla, arrived in Angola to supervise a team refurbishing an old Boeing 727. The job went very well, and the aircraft was soon ready to fly out of the country. However, when the 727 taxied onto the runway one evening for a routine engine test, it made a sudden unauthorized takeoff with no communication to the tower. With its transported disabled, the 727 headed off towards the Atlantic Ocean has not been ever seen since. But this is where the story gets weird. Keep in mind, this was in post 9/11 years, when a stolen airliner would be fully expected to show up again a week later crashing into a nuclear power plant. A missing 727, even an empty one, wasn't the sort of thing authorities would shrug off and write off as a loss for the insurance. And it's not the sort of aircraft you can land in the backyard and hide in a garage. In fact, the plane carried containers filled with thousands of gallons of diesel fuel, so authorities were even more worried about it being hijacked for an insane kamikaze mission. Yet, investigators never found any trace of it. They then thought that maybe Padilla and another crew member seen boarding the plane, a man named John Mutantu, could have decided to take the Boeing out on some drunken joyride, which would have been plausible if either of them could actually fly the plane. You heard me right. Padilla was a licensed pilot, but he didn't have the necessary qualifications to handle a 727, which generally requires a crew of 3 people in order to function properly. And as far as anyone knows, Mutantu did not have any flying experience at all. Also, according to witnesses, the aircraft appeared to be swerving erratically along the runway before it took off, suggesting the pilot was fighting over controls with someone else. Another theory is that the 727 owners decided to make the aircraft disappear to collect the insurance money. But if that's the case, then what happened to Padilla? To make things even stranger, even though this incident caused national security concerns and was investigated by several agencies, the FBI abruptly closed the case in 2005 without any explanation, which can only mean one thing. They discovered that it was a work of the creepy gremlin from the Twilight Zone.